right, check out this critter here that we found in the tide pools at Windward Beach in Antigua. So let me tell you what these are. You look at it, you might think, well, is it a rock? Is it a plant? Is it an animal? Is it an alien? What is it? Well, this is actually an animal. This is coral. And it's not actually an animal. It's animals. Multiple. There's hundreds of animals right here. Most corals are colonial, meaning that they live in groups together. And each single individual animal is a polyp. And one polyp will be attached to the next polyp, to the next polyp, to the next polyp. And they can share nutrients that way, which is really a smart adaptation. Now let me give you a little bit of a quick background on corals. Sponges are the simplest animals in the animal kingdom. The next phylum up from sponges is Phylum Cnidaria. Big crazy word you've probably never heard of, but all that means, if you're in Phylum Cnidaria, you're basically one of three things. You're a jellyfish, you're a coral, or you're an anemone. All right, so corals are in Phylum Cnidaria. They're the first predators on Earth. Sponges aren't predators. They're just filter feeders, okay? But jellyfish are predators. They can actually catch their prey and eat it, okay? All right, so these corals, like I said, this species lives in a colony, and they have a really special relationship called a symbiotic relationship with a type of algae called Zooxanthellae. Now, it's a very small algae, microscopic algae, in fact, that lives inside the tissues of the coral. And that is what gives the coral its color. So if you see a green coral, you have green Zooxanthellae living inside of it. If you see a pink coral, you have a pink Zooxanthellae living inside. A brown coral, a brown Zooxanthellae living inside. Now, what does that Zooxanthellae do? Well, that relationship, that symbiotic relationship, is what we call a mutualistic symbiotic relationship, meaning it's a mutual relationship. They're both benefiting. Corals are animals. They can't photosynthesize. They have to catch their food. And they do that with these little wavy polyps that are open. It catches food that's floating through, they grab it and pull it into their mouth, right? So they can eat that way. Well, algae, as we know, photosynthesizes. It gets its energy from the sun, just like a normal plant would. Well, the fascinating thing is, the Zooxanthellae living inside of the coral can actually produce a little more nutrient from photosynthesis than it needs, which that end product is sugar, basically. These guys are sugar fiends. So as the algae produces that sugar, it makes sure it makes a little bit more to give to its coral. All right, the coral, in turn, if you breathe in, you're breathing in oxygen. If you breathe out, you're breathing out carbon dioxide. Same thing with corals. And when corals are breathing out that carbon dioxide, guess what that algae wants to breathe in? Carbon dioxide. So the coral is giving the Zooxanthellae the carbon dioxide it needs to make the algae to feed it. So it's a great relationship between the two animals. Well, between one animal and one protist or one algae. Okay, as we were walking along, I found this piece of coral that is broken off from the reef structure right out here. And I wanted to show you what I was talking about the individual animals. Let's zoom in. Do you see each of those little holes in there? Every single one of those holes is an individual animal that lives inside of there. And those animals, these are hard corals. There's hard corals and there's soft corals. But these are in a group called hard corals. And they actually secrete calcium carbonate. It's a type of a rock, basically. And that's what builds the coral reef structure. All of these billions upon trillions upon zillions of animals secreting calcium carbonate homes for themselves, basically, over millions of years, is what has built our reefs. So without the corals, we won't have reefs. That's why it's so important to protect these guys.